Hello everyone, welcome back to the workshop. So in this video, I am going to show you a quick presentation of how to discern whether your forge is running at a neutral environment, an oxygenating environment, or a rich environment. And so we're going to go over those right now. So as you can see, I have the forge running here before me. Right now, the forge is running in a nice homeostasis state of neutral. It is a nice neutral environment. That means it does not have too much gas and it does not have too much oxygen. It's at the right mix. You can see this by the flame itself. The flame itself, that's the dragon's breath as some people like to call it, is not projecting way out in front of the forge, but it's also not collapsed back inside the forge either. When you have a rich environment, the dragon's breath is going to be further out here. When you have when you have a lean environment or an oxygen-rich environment, the flame is going to be back in towards the forge a lot tighter. You want a little dragon's breath coming out of the forge. That means that's a little bit of spent gas being consumed there by the oxygen in the environment. So to give you a quick demonstration, I'm going to actually take this slide tube and we are going to take and first slide it up to where we close off more of the air. As we do this, watch how that flame keeps going out, right? Do you see how that flame, there's longer and longer flames here? Now, I've got the pressure set pretty low just so this way it's not a big roar in this environment. But if the gas pressure was really cranked up, this flame would be just shooting out and jutting out in front of here quite long. And that's not what you want. So that is a very rich burn. Now, let's go the other way with it. We can see what's a rich burn. Now watch how that flame just shortens right out and disappears almost to the point of being inside the forge. Do you see how that shortened right down? Now that is burning lean, so that is an oxygen-rich environment. This is not the environment that you want to forge weld in. If you forge weld in this type of environment, what's going to happen is your material is going to burn on you. Whenever you have material at a high temperature, it starts reaching above an oxidizing temperature. As it gets hotter and hotter, it is more prone to burning or scaling or advanced rusting or however you would like to say it. So the higher that oxygen amount's coming in, or the more oxygen you got flowing into the environment, the higher the amount of scale you're going to have on your pieces. So it may sound louder and more fierce, but that is just a byproduct of the way the turbulence that's in not only the burner itself, but the way it's hitting into the air currents of the forge. That is a byproduct of turbulence, is the sound. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's getting hotter. You have to have both fuel and oxygen at higher pressures in order to reach heat. But once you reach heat, you want to reduce those. So let me go ahead and crank this up. I've got it set pretty low. I can even crank it down even less. We'll take it all the way down to where it's sputtering. Hopefully you guys can hear it sputtering. So it's just sputtering along there. That's real low, okay? Tons of oxygen still flowing down that pipe. As we increase the gas pressure, it's going to suck more atmosphere down that tube, and it's going to get louder and louder. So if you notice, at that right there, I don't know how well you can hear me, at that right there, the flame is still short. If we bring this tube up to allow a little bit more dragon's breath in that, it's not going to sound as fierce, but you're going to be consuming, as that flame is being ignited, you're going to be consuming a lot more of that oxygen in that atmosphere inside that gas forge. And that's what you want. It's a delicate balance between the two. If we take this all the way up to where we close it off, obviously we're just throwing a whole ton, a whole ton of gas in there, and it's not actually igniting until it gets way outside the forge. That's the reason for that flame. Too much, it sounds like it's really loud, it sounds like a Harrier jet taking off. The flame's really short, but you have a ton of oxygen dumping and hitting your piece. There's a nice neutral flame. There's a little bit of dragon's breath coming out. There's plenty of gas pressure going in order to heat the piece up, but not too much oxygen that's getting burned and combusted there. And this forge will come right up to temp, and we will have less problems with scaling on our piece, and we can take this forge all the way up to forge welding temp in this state and be able to make some really nice, clean, fluxless forge welds. So let me crank that back down now. So as you can see, lower pressure means less turbulence, means less noise. Again, more noise, more turbulence does not necessarily mean heat that you're producing there. You may actually only be creating more of an oxygenated environment, and that's bad. Obviously, you can see, now I could adjust this even more. Again, if I go here, we have completely, we've basically shut off the air intake, so it's just pumping gas into it. If I open it up, now it's sucking a little more air down the pipe. If I open it all the way up, that flame almost disappears inside the forge, and therefore it's an oxygenating environment, yet again, even at a lower pressure. So you want to find that happy medium to about halfway in between. A good place to start, if you don't know where to take it, put your air valve at exactly halfway of your opening. Just start at half and adjust up or down or closed or open, from there, and adjust it and play with it. Okay, so there you go. Not a real difficult thing to do. It's just something that you will have to experiment with and play around a little bit with yourself. Obviously, the higher you crank this forge open, the hotter it's going to get, but that's not necessarily so if you open that air valve up as I demonstrated here. The valve on this little Mr. Volcano forge, we actually have a 20 PSIG valve on there. Now, I don't know what I'm running at. I have another regulator and hose coming. I don't know what I'm running at because it doesn't have an actual gauge on it to where you can see the exact pressure you're running at. That's a nice feature. It's not a necessary feature. You can just use your ears to listen for how high of a temperature you're getting. Obviously think like a torch. If it's whisper quiet, it's not putting out the same amount of heat as it could if it's roaring, right? If it's roaring, it's putting out more heat. If it's quieter, it's putting out less heat. Pretty simple stuff. So that's it for today. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoy content like this, consider checking out our website over at blacksmithingblanks.com. We got a lot of great beginner projects and blanks and tools over there, so be sure to check that out. Link in the description. And thank you to all the channel members who make the content on this channel possible. We really couldn't do it without you. So drop your comments and questions for me and what videos you'd like to see me do next down in the comment section down below. With that, God bless. We'll catch you on the next one.